Well, we have all been there, but our intern Ethan is there right now. Budgeting for little itty bitty amounts of money. So Kristen had a great idea. Let's get some advice for this dude.
Yeah, so intern Ethan came on the air and shared one of his personal stories, which is that he was broke. And how do you tell your friends, yo, I can't do that because I'm broke? If you haven't been introduced to intern Ethan in his voice...
Hello.
If you do not do your intern rap to the tune of Chocolate Rain, you are missing out on an opportunity.
Seriously. So intern Ethan, before we bring Mike on here from Georgia Safe Retirement.
Planners.
Exactly what is your budget each and every week?
Non-existent.
You have zero money.
I mean,
That's hard to work with.
like, okay, each and every week, it's hard to say. I really don't know. That's kind of my issue. I kind of just like vibe out. I check my account and it's like, I can work with this. And then I get to the end of the week and I was like, oh, I was wrong. And then it's just like, dang.
So you can check your account online.
Yes.
Do it right now. Tell us what we got in there. What are we working with?
Herbert Weiss? Don't put him on the spot like that.
I mean, we're not going to be overwhelmed, I don't think, by this number.
No, I hate putting him on the spot like that.
We've all been here.
We can't make a budget off of vibe out.
Right.
Where Georgia Safe Retirement Planners were in charge of figuring out what the vibes were, which is why we got Mike DeSombre here.
All right, what's the number you got in that account right now?
I have not been paid yet, but I'm looking at $257 about.
$257,000.
No. That would be so amazing.
So you got $257. And right now, as it stands, what do you have to cover with your $257?
Okay, right now, I know, well, ideally I would get groceries, a haircut. I was going to have to pay some actors for a project, but that fell apart recently, so I don't have to pay them anymore. So
Thank
that's
God for that.
nice,
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really the main thing. I lost my charger yesterday, so I've got to get a new laptop charger.
Those are expensive.
Yeah, they are.
So that's that's pretty much it right now.
Yeah, this sucks. All right. So this, again, is Mike from Georgia Safe Retirement Planners. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Bert, thanks for having me.
All right. So if we're not specifically talking about our intern Ethan here, but you're talking about a dude or a woman that has got a budget like his, what's the first piece of advice you can give to him?
Yeah, well, you went kind of in. I was going to stay away from the actual number, not to blow up Ethan.
Man.
But...
Welcome to the Bert Show.
No, but so we talked a little bit earlier this week and found out a couple of things about Ethan. And one of the things that he said was sometimes I look at my account and I'm like, man, if I didn't do that, I actually could have some money. And that's a big thing. I feel like a lot of people do that, right? I also told Ethan he's not alone by any means in the situation he's in.
Like, what are some of the things in looking back? Like, if I didn't do that, I'd have more money. What are we talking about?
Okay, well, one of the things that I pointed out to Mike, I was like, oh, I really needed some headphones because I lost a pair of my headphones because they fell out of my jacket.
Well, now we figured it out. If you would just stop losing stuff, you'd have freaking money.
There's
Yes,
that's one
that's
thing.
accurate.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I'm gonna get some headphones, but I didn't want to wait. I struggle with patience. I didn't want to wait, so I was like, I'll just go to the Barnes and Nobles that's associated with my school and grab a pair of headphones there.
Yeah.
And then I get the headphones. I go up to the cash register. He's like, hey, these have a 14-day return policy, but it has to be unopened. And I'm like, great. I get home, I open them, I use them. They're terrible. They suck. And I'm like, wow, that's so unfortunate. And I'm like, well, I do need headphones. So I just got another pair.
Oh, fam.
Did you
Come on.
Did you eat the first one so you had at least something in your stomach for the week? Some carbs? Anything? All right. So that's what we're dealing with here,
Yeah,
Mike.
exactly.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So along those lines, he also mentioned a couple other, habits that we might need to kick a little bit. One of them, like many of us, Ethan can get Instagrammed. So he's got his impulse buys. He'll see something on Instagram and just pull the trigger.
Right, man.
Yeah.
Me too. Time and time again.
Oh, yeah,
And are
we're
you
all
with
there.
me? Like 70% of the stuff you get sucks from Instagram?
No, it's like I'll see something on Instagram and I'll be like, whoa, what is that? And I'll do a ton of research, but I'll
Yeah.
get super fixated for like 5 hours.
Okay.
But then I'll get more
All
into
right.
it.
So you're
And then I'll buy it.
so if I'm hearing you correctly, you're only wasting two things: time and money.
Yes.
Nothing important.
Okay, you're good, man.
Yeah. So one of our big pieces of advice there, kind of with everybody, especially at your age, sleep on it, man. We always say take 2 to 3 sleeps because that guy strolling down the Santa Monica Pier in his roller skates might look awesome to you up front. But after you take a couple sleeps, you might wake up and be like, you know what? I actually don't really need those.
That is the truth.
The other
man.
thing,
Good
too,
advice.
even if you have a bunch of stuff that you want, if you're like, man, I need those new headphones. I really like those roller skates on Instagram. Again, don't buy them right away. If you've got a bunch, make yourself a list. Give yourself one impulse buy a month. And at the end of the month, take a look at your list and see what you want, what you really want. I guarantee you at the end of that month, that list, about 80% of it, you're not even going to want anymore.
Oh, that's great.
Probably more than that.
That really is good advice.
That's amazing.
Are
advice.
you, are
Can
you
you-
capable of doing that?
Yeah.
I feel like, you know what's crazy? The headphones, I actually lost those months ago. And then I was like, oh, I don't need new headphones.
There you
and
go.
then I just
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
broke one day. I was like, I need new headphones.
Yeah.
And then that happens.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Just think about it. Sit on it for a little bit. And again, you're not going to want half the stuff that you thought you wanted when you were looking at Instagram at 2 a.m.
It's good advice.
it is.
He's shaking his head.
Yeah. I mean, I'll definitely work on that.
I definitely hear you. I'm just not going to execute it.
That's what it's giving.
All right, so Mike, you and Ethan had a Zoom meeting.
We did.
And he's giving you like all his stuff. And basically, he wants to be able to live life, hang out with his friends, and do stuff and not be broke.
Yeah.
What kind of plan did you put together for him?
Yeah, so we had a couple other ideas as well. He mentioned a couple other things that might be a little, sorry about that, but might be a little bit too much on the spending side when you don't have a lot of money. One of them, which I thought was really cool, Ethan and his friends go to dinner and they take a rotation. And one of them pays for it every other time, and they kind of rotate on who pays for it. He mentioned this the last time when he was talking about it, and he said one of his bills ended up being almost over $200.
Oh, nice.
For a dude that only has $257 in the bank,
right.
man.
So that's his whole account right there if he goes out to
Yeah.
dinner tonight, right? So one of the things that we were talking about is, you know what? Maybe you sit down with those buddies and we set a cap. We say, hey, look, you know what? We can all still do this. We can all still have a good time. Maybe we make a cap. Let's say $100 instead of $250. Maybe you choose places that aren't going to cost $250. It's a conversation you got to have with your buddies. Sit down. We know we like to do this. We like hanging out together, but we don't need to do it at a place that's going to cost us $250.
How would that conversation be received by your friends?
I mean, I feel like it would be received well, but I don't think I would bring it up, to be honest.
Because because it is difficult when you have friends that are like in different economic brackets. And there's been issues back in the day when we would go out and you would try to split stuff. And my friend was like, I didn't have any of the champagne. I'm not paying for it.
Right.
Yeah.
So are you guys all pretty much on the same level?
Yes and no for the most part. There's one guy who can spend like however much he wants to, but the rest of us, it's like, okay, we're all kind of in the same
Sound like
place.
you should be the one treated.
Yes. I mean, I was thinking the same thing. It's kind of his responsibility. Like, until people catch up or get closer, he should be taking care of it if he can.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So one of the things that we were kind of talking about as well, you've got goals. So you've got some big goals ahead, right? Like Ethan wants to go to law school. And I didn't go to law school, but I also know that that's not cheap. So there are a couple things that Ethan kind of needs to have money for coming up. And one of them could be these group dinners. One of them could be all these Instagram purchases you want to make. One thing that you can do that's actually fairly easy and really helps you save for these kind of things, you could set up separate accounts. Like you've got a savings account, right? He's got one that he doesn't touch. It's awesome. He's got his checking account as well. If you've got something that you really want, if you want a goal, like earlier this week, I was actually talking to another awesome Bert Show listener. She's a completely different phase of life, but it still applies to her as well. She wanted some extra income or extra money saved in case anything happened in her life that she didn't want to dip into her, checking account for. Create a separate account. Create a different savings account. You can do it. Some banks don't make you have any kind of minimum. Some make you put $25 in. Create a separate account. Every time you get a check, put a little bit into that. Do your direct deposit directly into that account. So say you have a savings for Instagram skates. Every check that you get, save a little bit and put it in there. You'll never see it because it's not in your checking account. You won't even know it's there. And then a couple months down the road, you'll look into it and you'll say, oh, wow, I've got enough money for these Instagram skates. Let's do this.
Okay, so skates keep coming up repeatedly. Is that something you really wanted, or Mike, is that something you want?
That is something I want to do.
I didn't want to answer again.
No, because
If you get those, you better be rolling your happy ass up and down the radio station hallways. That's all I got to say. You better be rolling into the studio.
I
Wait
have
a second.
them.
This is a smart financial decision because don't you have like an ongoing bet where if you can stay single for a year or two, you get $1,000? No woman is going to touch him with a 6-foot pole if he's strolling up and down the streets of Georgia Tech with his skates on.
okay, that's a great point. But you know what's crazy? I have the skates. I bought the skates.
You did buy the skates.
I bought the skates, and they're fun and they're cool.
How much were the skates,
They're
bro?
like $200.
Are you kidding
Oh,
me?
but as a guy that's also like 5'4" or so, gives you a couple inches. Those skates give you, that gets us up to about 5'7", 5'8".
And they're not even.
Abby's like, I don't want those inches.
Not in that direction.
And they're like not even. I'm super fixated on the skates, but I feel like this was like a legitimate purchase because they're not normal skates.
What makes them
Well,
unnormal?
What they so special?
They don't like you don't strap in them or anything. You just stand on top of them.
Are they like Heelys?
No,
Ethan, how many times have you used those?
I've used them like 3 times.
Okay.
but
And you could use it on women also. Like, I just bought myself a new pair of wheels. They don't need to know.
Misleading at all.
They don't need to know that they're skates. I just got some new wheels. All right?
Oh, bless.
I think you guys would understand if you saw the skates.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You would
yeah,
understand if you saw the skates.
We're gonna see them because you're wearing them the next time you're in for your internship.
Can I get the invite back for that?
Yes.
So I gotta see that.
1,000%.
So, Mike, let me ask you this here real quick, too, because I have seen a lot of accountants online that are talking to guys and women that are his age, and they're already trying to plant the seed of retirement in their head now. And the little amount of money that if they just put in now would be enormous by the time that they are ready. So can you speak to that? If he could just buy less skates and spend just a little bit of money in retirement, how much can he put away for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you might not have a ton of cash right now, but the most valuable thing you have at your age is time. And to Bert's point, whatever you can put away, the better off you're going to be in the future. So like, for instance, that $200 you spent at dinner that one night, if you put $200 away per month at your age, when you retire at 65 years old, you'd have almost $700,000
Bro.
sitting there ready for you at retirement.
Bruh.
$200 a month. Even if you did $50 a month, you'd be over $200,000 sitting there at retirement at 65. Now, the reason why I meant that you at your age, it's so valuable right now. If you waited till 35 to start doing this and you set aside the same amount of money, if you set aside $200 a month starting at 35, 30 years later, that'd be about $230,000. So think about that. That's almost $500,000 extra dollars just by tucking away that dinner money every month.
That must be
At
hard
your
to
age.
sell, though, like,
know.
because he's looking at that age
Yeah.
and he's like, man, that's so old. I'll worry about that later when he's
For
trying
sure.
to eat and buy new skates.
Totally. And again, that was just an example. It doesn't have to be $200 a month. It doesn't have to be $50 a month, but whatever you can do, take a percentage, every dollar you make, like I mentioned, tuck it away into that savings account. Never see it. Don't even think about it. Tuck it into that account and just let it grow.
You are not buying into this one.
It's
You are
given,
not.
I hear you, but
And it is. It's tough. It's tough at this age to get through that. I
Yeah.
mean, none of us were thinking that way.
No.
Not at all.
I mean, his frontal lobe still isn't fully developed.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He's like,
But
have
it-
you seen the skates? The skates, though. The skates.
That's what you should invest in on Instagram is a frontal lobe.
Or a skating attorney practice. An attorney on skates.
There you go, man.
That might have some legs.
Mike, appreciate you coming in here, man. Thank
No,
you so
appreciate
much.
you having me. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
All right, be sure to listen to everything he said and don't do anything about it.
We fully expect that.
Okay. And this would be perfect. And I want to remind everybody that I'm going to be at Georgia Safe Retirement Planners this Wednesday. We're doing a happy hour. So Mike and the rest of his crew there and myself, we want to empower women to get like the financial wisdom they need. I readily admit I am financially illiterate. I definitely rely on my husband for a lot of stuff. And so it would be nice for me to actually know where my money is and where it's going. So we are doing a happy hour Wednesday at Georgia Safe Retirement Planners location. They're in beautiful downtown Roswell on Canton Street. We'll be there from 5 to 7. So we'll be just sipping wine and learning how to make that money.
To your point, man, I don't have a lot of regrets in life. This is the one that I do, is not being better educated about finances, not taking business classes in the 3 weeks that I was at San Diego State. Not taking, I have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars clearly not knowing what I'm doing with my finances. And a guy like Mike here from Georgia Safe Retirement Planners can help you out. You don't have to make that mistake.
And Bert, that's a really good point that you make. A lot of people are just super uncomfortable having these conversations, and that's kind of our whole thing. We want everyone to feel comfortable. It's an open conversation. There's no pressure or anything like that. We just want to educate, and that's what we're trying to do.
Nobody is too dumb and nobody is too broke.
That's
so
exactly
show
right.
up.
That's exactly right.
That's why Kristen will be there.
That
Yeah.
The Bert Show.